Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Jill Florent from the QuickSight Customer Success Team, and we're here today for the Amazon QuickSight Learning Series. Today, we're going to be talking about creating a highly formatted financial statement using QuickSight, and our presentation is going to be led by two QuickSight Specialist Solutions Architects, Niraj Kumar and Salim Khan. Just to make sure you're in the right place, just wanted to review that the purpose is to walk through how to create highly formatted visuals. So the income statement or balance sheet and cash flows can be created now using QuickSight and some of our latest features. This is going to be a 30-minute long webinar, and we're going to actually have an opportunity to answer questions today in the QuickSight community. So one of the benefits of attending live is we'd love to get your questions answered. If you haven't done so already, it would be great for you to take a little picture of the QR code that you see on the screen here and create your QuickSight community login if you've not already done so. What we will be able to do in the QuickSight community is not just post questions and get answers there. Some questions already have answers. So if I was looking for an answer to a question like how might I create dynamic titles with donut charts, there's already a question here in the community. So when you search for it, in this case, we have a nice little response and video. You may already have an answer to your question. For today, what we would encourage you to do is go ahead and tag a question that you might be posting. You are required to add a tag, so just use QLS-format for today. That will give us the indication that you're attending this webinar live and that we should prioritize getting you a question as quickly as possible. We do have subject matter experts checking into the community almost on a daily basis, and it's a great place to go and find learning resources, post questions, get answers, and know what kind of events are coming up. We are recording today's session, and so we will post the recording by the end of the week on the QuickSight YouTube channel. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Salim, who's going to be kicking things off for us.
Hello, everyone. A very happy Thursday. I'm Salim Khan, QuickSight Solutions Architect at AWS. I have my colleague Niraj Kumar who will be presenting with me today. We also have Bhashi and Jill who will be moderating the webinar. So please put all your questions in the community using the tag that Jill provided, and we will address those towards the end of the webinar or after the webinar. So in today's session, we will learn about steps to build a financial statement using QuickSight that you can leverage for your business needs. Okay. Before we begin, just a quick reminder, like how Jill mentioned, if you have not already signed up for the QuickSight community, please do so using the link below. In the QuickSight community, you can ask and answer questions. We have a learning center which has workshops and how-to videos. It's also a place where you can find the latest updates and announcements related to QuickSight, and you can also register for any upcoming events. Okay. So in today's webinar, we'll be guiding you all with steps to create highly formatted financial statements. We will dive into different financial statements like the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement using QuickSight Freeform Layout. We will showcase them through a quick demo for each of these use cases, and then finally wrap up with some references that you can use to explore and exercise them in QuickSight. So quick overview of financial statements. Financial statements or reports are a set of documents which contain formal records of financial activities of a business at any specific point of time. It also includes key data that reflects a company's performance. As a part of today's session, we will focus on three main financial statements, namely the balance sheet, the income statement and the cash flow statement. The balance sheet is a financial statement that provides a snapshot of what a company owns and owes, as well as what the shareholders have invested as of a date of publication. In accounting terms, it reports the company's assets, liabilities, and the shareholder equity. The income statement, also referred to as the profit and loss statement, it's a statement that reports the company's financial performance over a specific accounting period. It provides valuable insights into a company's operations and management's efficiency. And lastly, the cash flow statement provides information on how a company's operations are running where the money is coming from and where it is spent. Okay, so we will now look at some of the key data requirements and considerations that one should address as part of a financial reporting. The first one being understanding your company's chart of accounts and how they are mapped to your financial statements. Once the mapping is understood, you can get to the categories and levels for the financial statements, either from the source system or define it as part of your ETL process. If your reporting requires specific sorting, you need to define the sort keys for all the categories and levels as well, whether from the source system or as a part of the ETL process. Defining positive or negative sign for the levels, in most cases at the lowest level, which can be used in calculations to roll up the data appropriately. Like revenue is positive and expenses negative, so you want to take care of that using the proper signs. You can also automate the validation process using financial formulas, right? So since in the financial world, we have formulas like balance sheet, the assets is always equal to liabilities and equity, and for the income statement, your net income should roll up from the total revenue and gain subtracted the expense and the losses. So you can use these formulas to automate your validation process. Jumping into the QuickSight Freeform Layout that we'll be using. So with QuickSight, you have the option to use 3 different layouts, namely the tile, classic layout, and the freeform layout. For this session, we'll be focusing on the freeform layout, using which you can create pixel perfect formatted reports and dashboards. 4 groups of settings in visuals are key to building a dashboard in freeform layout. The first one is placement. This lets you control the exact position and size of each visual in a dashboard. The style, with style controls, you can set the background, the border, selection colors, and the transparencies. This is extremely useful when you're laying visual on top of each other for awesome effects. With interaction, with these controls, you can remove all the visual level interactions like drill down, sorting, maximizing visuals, exporting data when desired. These settings only apply to the dashboard view, and you allow you to overlay the charts or images to create an impression of a single composite visual to the end user. And lastly, we have the rules. With the rules, you can show and hide visuals based on parameter values. By default, all visuals are visible by default. We'll be taking a look at all these properties during the demo. Okay, moving on to the demo now. We have tried to address 2 different use cases based on customer requirements. We will demo the balance sheet and the cash flow statement using pixel perfect formatting and no interactivity, and the reports can be shared with your end users as is. For the income statement, we will demo use cases which require interactivity for financial statements, and you can use both of these approaches as per your needs. Can you see my console right now?
Yes, Lee, we are good.
Thank you, Neeraj. Okay, so I have logged on to my QuickSight console. We have created a shared folder to organize all the assets for the financial statements. Okay, so we have 3 folders where the assets are organized. The shared folders let us easily share our assets and information to our end users securely. For the balance sheet, analysis, my dashboard, and the data all in the same folder. Let's take a quick look at how the data is organized. Okay, so as you can see, I have this data which has 4 levels from level 1 to level 4 for my balance sheet. And then I have a couple of metrics, the starting balance, the credit debit, and the ending balance. Okay, so for the balance sheet, we'll be requiring the ending balance for the year. I have already have my year, which is curated in the year format. So all this information that I have has already been created using my chart of accounts and the accounting data that was provided. And my ETL team has done the curation for me and provided an Excel file that I can use quickly to create this dashboard. If you have sorting requirements, you can create those sorting requirements as calculations out here, or you can put that as part of the ETL process too, right? For this balance sheet, I do not have any sorting requirements currently. So I use different sections to format the report. Okay, so I don't have that column, but you can put those columns as well. Once we have the data in a particular format, in QuickSight, then we can publish the data and start building the analysis. Opening up the balance sheet analysis. So in the interest of time, since we only have 30 minutes for the seminar, you can see that I have already prepared the balance sheet statement, but I will go through the steps and QuickSight features that I use to build this balance sheet, right? So starting off with the freeform settings, if you see my grid has completely changed, and QuickSight has the 3 layouts that you can use. So I selected the freeform layout, which gives me this grid layout, and I've chosen a resolution of 1366. You have different options to check your resolution based on your requirement. Once you select the freeform layout, you will be able to basically move any visual or any objects that you have to a desired location. As soon as you have the freeform layout turned on, you open up the properties for any visual, you'll see what I was displaying. You get these 4 new properties for every visual that you have. The placement. Using the placement, you can specify the XY coordinates, the width and the height of every visual. For the style, you can set the background color, the border, the selection colors, and the loading animation. With the interactions, you can turn this on and off based on what you require. And for the rules, you can conditionally hide that, and we'll be covering this more in the income statement. Okay, so you get all these properties for every single visual as soon as you have freeform layout turned on. Now, I'll quickly go through the different steps that I used to basically create this financial statement. So I started off with building my header first, right? The header for the report. So I have this company logo that I used, for which I'm using my custom content. So my company logo is pushed an image file in my S3 bucket, and I fronted that with the CloudFront distribution, and I've showed it as an image, and I'm fitting it to the width. Okay, and then for my title of the report, instead of using the dashboard title, I've actually used a custom insight. So with custom insight, you can actually do free-form text along with the custom insights you build, but it can also be used just to do free-form text. I'll quickly show how I build that. So just without any other insights, it's a free-form text with perfect formatting that I need. You can even add spaces in front to get an indentation look. Okay, and I've used this custom insight to create custom headers even for my other sections, right? So if you see, my balance sheet had custom header requirements, right? So I have used the same custom insight to overlay on top of these visuals. Okay, 2 new features now basically enable me to achieve all this, right? So moving on to the first section, since my balance sheet has 2 major sections. One is for assets and the other one is for liabilities and equities. So I'll go through in detail how I built this section first. Okay, so this pivot table now has options to hide columns. This is a new feature just released. So we can bring in columns and hide those and use those for roll-ups and for totals, right? Or even for sorting purposes, only display level 4, which is required in the report. Okay, and then I can just put on the custom header on top of this. The second feature that got released is now with the pivot tables, you can actually customize your row headers. If you see, my visual is overlaid on top of the row header. My row header actually expands till here, right? So I can specify the height of my row header, and then I can overlay these custom insights on top using a property which says, okay, bring to front. Okay, that lets me create my custom headers. Okay, moving on to the pivot table, I have a lot of properties that I've used. So I'm using my custom header, so I don't need the title. For pivot options, I have a single metric. So I don't want the metric name to be displayed, so I've hidden the single metric. I've created custom headers and custom formatting with borders only for top and bottom. I've hidden the column field names so that I get the layout that I desire. Okay, I have a total line in which it shows total, and I can change the font colors for my total line and specify the borders to give it a pixel perfect formatted look. Okay, and then I can apply the same formatting to all the cells that appears like a single row. Okay, and then I specify all my placement properties and all my style properties the way I need it. Okay, once I build the section, since my data balance sheet data is all coming from the same place, for the section, I put in a filter for current assets. Once the formatting is done for the section, I've overlaid my insights to get the custom header look. I quickly duplicate this visual from here, and I build my sections going forward. For the second section, I just have to change my filter to the fixed assets, and my section is ready, and I get my headers ready from there. And so on and so forth. I keep on building my whole balance sheet report. So I have all the sections now put together with all the formatting done in the way I need. Once it's ready, then I can quickly publish the dashboard and share it with my users. I'll show you how it looks when the dashboard is published. Okay. So you built a pixel perfect financial balance sheet. Once it's ready, use the share button to share the dashboard. Your end user can log on. You can also email this report out using a PDF attachment to your end users and people who have access to this report, or you can email the link itself to basically share it with your end users. Okay. So that wraps up the balance sheet. Now I will just pass the presentation over to Neeraj, who will be presenting the cash flow and the income statement. Neeraj, over to you.
Thanks, Salim. Hello, everyone. I'm Neeraj Kumar, QuickSight Solution Architect at AWS. I'm sharing my screen. Salim, can you just confirm if you're able to see my screen now?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you. So seems all good. So as Salim has talked briefly about what cash flow statement is, so we are referring to a direct cash flow here. This is a direct method that adds up all of the cash payments and receipts. And it's the most common for any cash basis accounting method. So let me get into the data set. So as part of our shared folders, we have a balance sheet, which Salim has covered. So we have cash flow. So let me get into the cash flow folder, and we have a cash flow data, which is already I have prepared. So getting into the data sets, and let me show you how data is organized for the cash flow. So data here is extracted from the accounting systems. It is transformed and loaded, and we have loaded the Qunity data into S3, which we are now pulling into QuickSights. So as part of the hierarchy here, we have three sections. So one is the operations, like you have level 1, where operations activity is being defined. We have the investing activity, and then we have a financing activities. And within each of these activities, if you see that at level 2, we have these categories defined. And now to organize that as part of our and put together a cash flow in a defined order, we have these sort fields, which is level 1 and level 2 sorts. Besides that, we have a fiscal date to have all this accounting reported for a particular fiscal year or fiscal month based on the aggregations we wanted to do it. And lastly, we have the account types, which is like R is for received, we have indicators, and P is for paid. So we have the amount, and we will use these accounting types as part of our cash flow statements to create the subtotals and show the respective amounts for each and every category within a given accounting section, right? Operating activity and investing and financing. So all the three sections, we can cover it as part of this accounting hierarchy. So this is about the data. So let me get into and show you how the analysis looks like. So we have already built in our analysis. So let me get into our analysis sheets. So as part of our analysis sheet, which has already been pre-built in the interest of time, so we have here three sections, mainly the cash flow from operations, which is our first sections, and then cash flow from investments, and then lastly, the cash flow from financing. And then we are accounting the total net cash flow to account for all the totals of all the three sections and show the total net cash flow for our particular accounting period. I'll not go into the specifics of how this logo and the custom insights being used because Salim has just recently covered it. So let me go in the interest of time, picking up the particular one sections, how we have created this first section of cash flow from operations. So as I click that, you can see in my field wells, I have used the level 1 sorts, which is to sort and put together a defined order as part of my cash flow statements. I've used a received or paid, which is to create a subtotal sections for all within the each given section. So which is total cash received and total cash spent. How do we get that? So this is based on our calculated fields. So let me show you quickly. So this is based on our indicator I was referring to in as part of our data set, which is our account type indicator, which is R is for total cash received. If it is not, if it is P, then it is total cash spent. So we account for both using that, and we can do the sorting using this particular received or paid indicator. And then at last, we have to show only the level 2, the categories within each and every sections. And we can build this particular sections, show the net cash flow from the operations, providing how we wanted to define the totals and how we wanted to define the subtotals, which is being done at the received or paid. So using the indicators, account type indicators. So that's how the first section is being done. And we can use that same first sections to replicate the remaining other 3 sections and come up with a cash flow. So this is how this particular analysis is being created. And once it is shared and published, when it is published at the dashboards, let me get into the dashboard and show you how the dashboard looks like. So this is our cash flow statements, which is again across the 3 accounting year, and we have all these sections, and we have cash flow for operations, investments, and financing along with the total net cash flow. We can publish, we can share this dashboard or email as what we have seen it for balance sheet reports. Not going into the details of how to do it because Salim just referred it. So let me get into the next topic, which is our income statement. And let me go back to our share folders, access the income statements. So I'm going to now jump into the data sets directly for the income statements that we are using to build income statement, which is also called as a profit and loss statement or a PL statement. So getting into the data here. So here are the key attributes. Let me refer that. So after the data is extracted from our accounting systems, it can be pulled in with your accounting hierarchy and with all the sort levels defined. If your sort levels are not in your accounting systems, then as part of a ETL process, we can build this logics and do the transformation. And finally, we can load it into S3 and we can pull it into a QuickSight. And this is how we have done it here. So data set here has these levels defined. So which is level 1, which is my parent company, and level 2, where I wanted to define to roll up all these levels. So if you see, in level 5 has all these categories defined, right? And then these level 5 categories rolls up to my level 4. So I have revenue, and within that these categories defined. Similarly, I have a cost of goods sold and all the categories defined. Revenue and cost of goods can roll up to gross profits. So that I can calculate my gross profit using revenue minus the cost of goods sold. Same way, I have all these operating expenses for all these given categories. I can use the gross profit and operating expense to come up with the operating incomes and roll up to that operating income. Also I can account for other income expenses and the income taxes, right? And we can all roll up to get the net incomes. And this is how our income statement has been created using these levels and utilizing these levels and also the sort fields, which is coming in from our data. We have accounted for 3 accounting years in this example. So you can pull in as many years that you have, and then you can bring in the actual budget. From our data, we were getting the actual budget, which was not adjusted actuals, meaning accounting for what is income and what is for expenses. So, but we got these indicators. So one stands for income and -1 is for expenses. So we can account for these indicators and calculate these actual and budget values. So let me show you quickly like what the calculation is for actual. So it is just actual and accounting type. Similarly, for budget, we can take the accounting type into consideration and calculate our budget. Once this data set is ready, we can create an analysis. So my analysis is already built. So let me go quickly into analysis and show you how the analysis is being built. So as part of our analysis, the very key components required is our report controls. So we have actual versus budget. So these controls has been created using a parameters. So I have parameters P report, which defines like what are the 3 different reports I wanted as part of an income statement. I need actual versus budget, actual versus prior, and PL and trend. So these 3 reports are required, and for that I have these parameters and the control setup. Similarly, I have year, and again for this particular report type, I can set up how I want the source, where the how can I get these values for the list. This is a static list, and that's how this control has been set up. Similarly for accounting year, but this time we have linking it to a dataset field, which is coming in from our dataset and from accounting year. After these 2 controls has been set up, I can utilize that to create my reports. So let's take an example of actual versus budget, the first report. And here in this particular report, we have actual budget variance and variance percentage. So actual budget comes in from using our attributes from the data sets. Variance is a calculation, so which is what we are calculating here. So if I go back into look into what my variance is, it is a calculated column, which is actual minus the budget. And similarly, actual minus budget over the budget is my variance. I can have these calculated fields and utilize it for create my reports. And I can do the conditional formatting as required. So in this case, I'm trying to put a variance as and when the variance is more than 15%, I can show it as red. And that's how it is being done for the conditional formatting. Similar to what we have done in other reports, we have done the totals. We have also created the subtotals, and as we have created this particular pivot report to come up with the actual versus budget. Same has been done for the actual versus prior reports. So if I select that, my first report is hidden, and I can take into account my prior year. This is again, I'm referring to current actual year selected and prior year, which is 2020, and calculating the variance and the variance percentage using the calculations that I've built in. I can create this report and I can overlay that. And how I can do it, as Salim was referring before, I can just do the placement and provide the coordinate of my first report. So once I do that, this particular report will overlay on top of my first report. Similarly, I can go into the PL and trend reports and I can select that. This is a basic report, which is like it is showing you all the P&L for your accounting period across the year. And again, similarly, I can go ahead here and I can also I can overlay that. So I can provide the coordinates and it will overlay. Coming also to like what has been selected, similar to other reports, I have accounting levels defined as part of my pivot tables. I have defined my year and I've defined my actuals to appear. Right? So once these reports are done, I can publish that. And once these are published, I can go back and look at my dashboard, which is already I have created it. And let me go and look at my dashboard, which is here. And my dashboard would look like with all the controls given. So I can select whichever report I wanted to pick and what year I wanted to select. So let's say I wanted to pick 2021 accounting period. I want to see my actual versus budget. Similarly, what my actual versus prior year, and I can get into the actual versus prior year. Likewise, I can select the PL and trend, and it will dynamically select what year. So you can do a conditional rendering of your report using the freeform layout as we talked about. This is what it covers as part of the income statement. Let me go back to quickly to our references, key references here, and we have all these links available, like for a documentation, how to customize visuals in a freeform layout. We have certain blogs, QuickSight Community links, and all these links and details are going to be posted on our community. So seems we are on time, so we'll take a look at your questions and post them with answers in the community itself, with all the links and all the references and all this content. And with that, I will thanks for your time and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you so much to both of you. What a wonderful new capability you've demonstrated in such a clear step-by-step fashion. Would just love to thank everyone who attended today for your time and let you know we always appreciate any feedback that you have. There's a survey link that I have posted in the chat window and that you see on the screen here. And if you liked our content today, please come back to the community and check out our events page. We're doing learning series almost every week. There's something new happening, and as you saw today, it's exciting content with new ways to apply QuickSight in different contexts, and so many new features coming out all the time. So please do check back, and we do post these onto our QuickSight YouTube channel. So if you haven't already done so, it's probably a great idea to also subscribe to the YouTube channel. So with that, we'll end right on time and appreciate everybody very much. Don't forget to check back to the QuickSight community for what's happening next. And if you have any follow-up questions, add that QLS-format tag to your question, and we'll make sure to prioritize getting you an answer as quickly as possible, ideally today. Thanks so much.